Today we will discuss about another fat soluble vitamin, that is vitamin K. Vitamin K. Till now we have discussed about vitamin A, vitamin D, and now today we are going to discuss about vitamin K. So vitamin K is also called as mannadione K3. It has got some three forms. Vitamin K has got three forms: K1, K2 and K3. K3 is called mannadione. It is the synthetic form. It is the synthetic form. It is not the naturally existing form. It is the synthetic form. K3, it is called mannadione. K2 is menaquinone, which is produced by intestinal bacteria in the human intestine. Menaquinone K2, vitamin K. So vitamin K is produced by the intestinal bacteria. So there won't be much shortage or deficiency of vitamin K unless the intestinal bacteria are killed. Okay, then K1 is called phylloquinone. This is present in plants. Okay, so three forms are there for vitamin K: phylloquinone K1, menaquinone K2, mannadione K3. Phylloquinone is seen in plants. Menaquinone is produced in the animals by intestinal bacteria. Mannadione is the K3, which is the synthetic form. So this vitamin K, this is the structure of vitamin K. The R group varies for K1 and K2, whereas this is hydrogen in case of mannadione, that is vitamin K3. So K1 and K2, this R group only varies. So if K1 is there, then it is called phylloquinone. If K2 is there, it is called menaquinone. Okay, these are the scientists who have described about the properties of this vitamin. Hendrik Dam and Edward Doisy, they got Nobel Prize for this. Coming to the vitamin K structure, if you see the vitamin K, as I said, there are three forms of vitamin K are there. So they are all derivatives of naphthopinone. So with a long isoprenoid side chain. All steroid compounds, they have isoprenoid unit. Remember, even these fat soluble vitamins like A, D and K, they have got this isoprenoid unit ring structure in their structure. So these all vitamin K, three forms of vitamin K are derived from a compound called naphthoquinone. If you see the length of the side chain, the length of the side chain only differs with respect to K1, K2 and K3 that we have seen in the structure. And vitamin K1 has a 20 carbon side chain, whereas vitamin K2 has 30 carbon side chain. The R group that I have shown here, if you see, if it is vitamin K, there is 20 carbon side chain for vitamin K, and for K1, for K2, the 30 carbon side chain will be present, that is menaquinone. So absorption and storage. Absorption, if you see, absorption of vitamin K occurs in the intestine along with the chylomicrons. So all these fat soluble vitamins, they need this bile for the absorption. So it is absorbed along with the fatty diet, all the fat soluble vitamins. So absorption of vitamin K also occurs in the intestine along with the chylomicrons. The bile salts are required for the normal absorption. The vitamin K may be derived from the diet or intestinal bacterial synthesis. So in the body, bacteria, intestinal flora also can synthesize this vitamin K. So that is from the vitamin that is derived in the diet only. So the diet which may contain the precursor of vitamin K is acted by the bacteria and they release this vitamin K. So that is another way of production of vitamin K in the body, and it is stored in the liver also, transported in plasma along with beta lipoproteins. So all fat soluble vitamins are stored in the liver, so they are transported in plasma along with the beta lipoproteins. Coming to the sources of vitamin K, if you see animal sources, meat is a source of vitamin K, then egg yolk, liver, cheese, dairy products are also rich in this vitamin K. Plant sources, if you see the plant sources like cabbage, cauliflower, tomatoes, spinach, other green leafy vegetables are good sources of phylloquinone. So sources, you should remember animal sources, meat, egg yolk, liver, cheese, dairy products. Plant sources, cabbage, cauliflower, tomato, spinach and other green leafy vegetables. And RDA, required dietary allowance for this vitamin K, is about 50 to 100 micrograms per day. 50 to 100 micrograms per day for an adult. And the active forms of vitamin K, as I said, 3 forms are there: vitamin K1, K2 and K3. K1 is phylloquinone, K2 is menaquinone and K3 is menadione. Coming to the functions of vitamin K is necessary for coagulation. Vitamin K is necessary for coagulation, blood coagulation. It is an important factor in case of blood coagulation. If you see the factors dependent on vitamin K, like factor 7, factor 9, factor 10 and factor 2. Factors dependent on vitamin K, if you see, factor 7, factor 9, factor 10, factor 2. So these are the factors which needs vitamin K. This vitamin K is helpful for the activation of these factors which are involved in blood coagulation. Now all these factors are synthesized by the liver as inactive zymogens. All these factors are synthesized by the liver as inactive zymogens. So factors, they are not produced in the active form, they are produced as zymogens, and these zymogens, they are activated by this vitamin K. So vitamin K is very essential for the blood coagulation process. Now see this diagram. If you see the the prothrombin, in the prothrombin the glutamic acid is present. In the prothrombin, glutamic acid is present. This glutamic acid undergoes carboxylation at gamma position. The glutamic acid present at the gamma carbon of prothrombin is carboxylated, and this carboxylation takes place by the enzyme carboxylase, and this is vitamin K dependent reaction. This is vitamin K dependent reaction. So this gamma carboxyl glutamate is formed in the prothrombin protein. So this gamma carboxylation makes the prothrombin to become active. Then the prothrombin, activated prothrombin, will further activate the other factors for the activation of blood coagulation mechanism. So vitamin K is required for the activation of 4 factors in the coagulation of blood, and they undergo post-translational modification. The zymogens that are produced, means these factors what I have talked, these factors like factor 7, factor 9, factor 10 and factor 2. These 4 factors are produced as zymogens. So after the production, they undergo post-translational modification like gamma carboxylation of glutamic acid residues. So then this results in the activated prothrombin, and further the proteins get activated, so the coagulation cascade mechanism will be initiated. So the binding sites for the calcium ions are present on the factors also. So these get activated because of the involvement of vitamin K. Then vitamin K dependent gamma carboxylation is also necessary for the functional activity of osteocalcin as well as structural proteins of kidney. So kidney, lung and spleen. So vitamin K dependent gamma carboxylation is necessary for the functional activity of osteocalcin cells as well as structural proteins which are present in the kidney, lung and spleen. Osteocalcin is synthesized by osteoblast cells and seen only in the bones. It is a small protein with a 40 to 50 amino acid length. It binds tightly to hydroxyapatite crystals of bone, and this binding is dependent on the degree of gamma carboxylation. So osteocalcin is another protein that is required for the gamma carboxylation, which is vitamin K dependent reaction. So vitamin K dependent carboxylase, see the enzyme vitamin K dependent carboxylase, it is a microsomal enzyme. It requires oxygen, carbon dioxide, NADPH and reduced vitamin K. In this process the vitamin passes through a cycle. Few of the steps of this process are inhibited by compounds called warfarin and dicamerol. Warfarin and dicamerol. These are used as anticoagulants. So this is used for the treatment those who have undergone for such surgeries and they have any coagulation process is active to prevent that coagulation, blood coagulation, means any clots that are formed in the body. To remove those clots we can use this warfarin and dicamerol or heparin. They act as anticoagulants, so they prevent the blood coagulation. So as a result any clots are produced in the body, they are removed by the administration of these compounds. Now the deficiency causes, if you see, the deficiency seldom occurs because this is intestine also produced by intestinal flora in the body, so deficiency is very rare. So however, in conditions of malabsorption of lipids, this can result from obstructive jaundice. Malabsorption of lipids can occur in obstructive jaundice and chronic pancreatitis. Sprue is a kind of infection to the organs, intestinal organs. So in such cases the malabsorption can happen. So malabsorption of lipids can lead to the deficiency of vitamin K. Then destruction of bacterial flora with prolonged antibiotic therapy. Destruction of bacterial flora with prolonged antibiotic therapy and gastrointestinal infections with diarrhea can lead to vitamin K deficiency. So destruction of bacterial flora with prolonged antibiotic therapy. If you give antibiotic for a longer period of time, the flora that is present in the intestine also will die. So in such cases vitamin K deficiency can happen. Similarly, in case of gastrointestinal infections with diarrhea can also lead to vitamin K deficiency. Coming to the clinical manifestations, so prolongation of prothrombin time, PT means prothrombin time. Prothrombin time is increased in case of vitamin K deficiency and delayed wound healing is seen. Delayed clotting time, CT means clotting time. Prolonged PT means prothrombin time and delayed clotting time. CT also we will test, clotting time will be increased. So these are the characteristics of vitamin K deficiency. And in case of vitamin K deficiency we can see hemorrhagic condition. In case of newborn we can see the hemorrhagic disease where the vitamin K is deficient. It is due to lack of hepatic stores. Means in the liver there is no vitamin K in the newborn babies, then they may have this hemorrhagic condition. Means internal bleeding is will take place. So limited oral intake, the breast milk has very low levels of vitamin K. It is 15 mg per liter actually. So in the absence of intestinal bacteria can cause this deficiency of vitamin K in newborns and it can result in hemorrhagic condition. In children and adults, vitamin K deficiency may be manifested as bruising tendency, ecchymotic patches, mucous membrane hemorrhage and post-traumatic bleeding and internal bleeding are possible in case of vitamin K deficiency. The antagonists means the compounds which act opposite to the vitamin K are warfarin and dicamerol. These two compounds will competitively inhibit the gamma carboxylation system due to structural similarity with vitamin K. So hence they are widely used as anticoagulants for therapeutic purpose. They are used as anticoagulants. Warfarin and dicamerol used as anticoagulants. Since they are similar to the structure of vitamin K, they inhibit the gamma carboxylation reactions. So as a result, coagulation factors will not get activated, so blood coagulation will not be activated. So this is used as anticoagulants for therapeutic purpose. Then hypervitaminosis. Hypervitaminosis of K, if you see excessive concentrations of excessive doses of vitamin K, if you see hemolysis, hyperbilirubinemia, kernicterus and brain damage. Kernicterus and brain damage are the manifestations of toxicity. Hemolysis, hyperbilirubinemia, kernicterus and brain damage are the manifestations of toxicity. So excessive vitamin K can cause hemolysis, hyperbilirubinemia, kernicterus, so it can result in brain damage also. So this should be kept in mind treating in premature babies. So hypervitaminosis may be a chance for the development of kernicterus. Okay. Then this vitamin K summary here I have mentioned. Vitamin K other active forms, if you see, menadione, menaquinone and phylloquinone. Other names also phylloquinone, menaquinone and menadione. Function of vitamin K is involving in the gamma carboxylation of glutamate residue in clotting and clotting proteins like prothrombin and other proteins also. And in deficiency symptoms, if you see in the newborns and in adults, the deficiency can be reported, and the signs and symptoms include bleeding disorder. Toxicity is very rare, and vitamin K produced by intestinal bacteria, so the deficiency is very rare. Vitamin K deficiency common in newborns. With intramuscular treatment with the vitamin K is recommended at birth. Intramuscular treatment of vitamin K is recommended at birth. So this is about vitamin